I feel like everybody's made one of these lists, so it's about time I do too. It's hard to ever call this list complete because it's always changing. I'm always in a different mood and I feel differently about different bands and different players at different times of the day, depending on the different mood that I'm in. To me, guitar is about serving the song, having riffs and having solos and putting it all together in a complete package. I'm gonna share a few things about each one of the players and then 3 or so songs from each one of them as reference. Making this list, I realized that a lot of these guitar players only have 1 or 2 good songs that I could even think of. So to me, it felt wrong to put them on this list when I can think of 15 songs from a guitar player who might not have the highest skill level. So going into this list, I tried to think of a whole bunch of guitar players and then make a whole bunch of songs kind of side by side. In making the side by side list, I realized some guitar players like Eric Johnson or Michelangelo Badio, I could only think of 1 or 2 songs. So reluctantly, I couldn't include them in this list of people who I feel are subjectively my favorite top 25 guitar players. Yeah, that's kind of how I went about it. I hope that makes sense, but I'm gonna start the list now. Number 25, John Frusciante of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the epitome of a guitarist who serves the song. His melody and groove-driven guitar style really sync up with the other 3 members of the band, creating an entire piece that whatever song you listen to, you know it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Notably, I would say that his best work comes from his intros and outros during his live performances. For me, Snow, Can't Stop, and Californication are songs I go back to time and time again. Number 4 in Slipknot, number 24 on my list is Jim Root from Slipknot. He's a main songwriter and lead guitarist of the band Slipknot. There's not really much more I need to say. The riffs, the solos, the memorable performances are just, they're unforgettable. He's got a unique rhythm style of these like half bends when he's doing his riffs that sound dissonant but just fit really, really well into the song, into the piece of music. And then also, Slipknot is the only screamo band that I can really listen to for an extended period of time and just not get completely tired of it. For me, before I forget, Newer Forte and Snuff are absolute masterpieces that I go back to. And there's a million songs that I could name from Slipknot, but in terms of guitar work, those are the 3 that I would name. Number 23 from a 3-man band by the name of Green Day, Billy Joe Armstrong. Extremely underrated guitar player. He can't shred, doesn't have solos in almost any song, but the riffs, the songwriting, and the melody that Green Day produces is unforgettable. You can hear a Green Day riff, know who it is immediately. Green Day and Billy Joe Armstrong are enormously influential, not only in music, but in politics and culture and style. 3 songs from me off the top of my head: Jesus and Suburbia, Basket Case, and maybe Longview. I mean, Waking Up When September Ends. All of these, their ballads are beautiful. Number 22, Angus Young. I found, while making this list, I'm a bit of a hater. And I was really a big hater with AC/DC because to me, every song sounds the same. It's the same pentatonic licks. There's no complexity. It's all boring 1-2, 1-2 type drum rhythms and just simple chord progressions over a simple beat. And I slowly started to realize why AC/DC is so good. It is because every song has the same kick-ass pentatonic blues riffs, licks over a simple, steady beat. It's rock and roll in its purest, rawest form. So for me, Angus Young has got to be on the list. Number 21, Alex Lifeson of Rush. I promise I'll get to the shreddy, crazy good guitar player type guys later, but I mean, you can't count out Rush. Working Man, YYZ, Tom Sawyer. The list for Rush goes on, and to me, Alex Lifeson is the blues in Rush that makes him digestible for like regular people, because Neil Peart and Geddy Lee are crazy all over the place type players, and Alex Lifeson is like somehow is the root that just holds the band together. Top 20, Kurt Cobain of Nirvana. Probably the least technical guitar player on this list to be politically correct. Not that Nirvana was. You can't deny his riffs on every song are unforgettable. His vocals matching the tone of his guitar in an eerie, masterful kind of a way is really, you can't not have Kurt Cobain on the list. They've got good songs, they've got good riffs, and that's why Kurt Cobain is number 20. Number 19, Tom Morello. I'm not sure if he's underrated or overrated or how he's rated, but to me, I rate him very high. Use of effects, bluesy riffs, the kill switch pick scratching stuff, unplugging, tapping the cable using a wah-wah. The innovation that he brought to the guitar world was phenomenal, especially during the 90s when guitars sucked. I mean, Rage Against the Machine, kick-ass band that I listen to time and time again. Bulls on Parade, Killing in the Name, Guerrilla Radio are all songs that I go back to time and time again. Plus, I can listen to a whole Rage Against the Machine album and not get tired of. Number 18, Synyster Gates, probably a top 5 band for me, Avenged Sevenfold. I mean, he's got an interesting background of this kind of like math rock jazz guitar playing, brought to metalcore in the early 2000s when the guitar solo was dying, and just brought harmonic minor, Phrygian dominant licks all over the place, matched with his bluesy feel and his insane technicality and speed. I gotta include Synyster Gates on the list, and if you don't include him on yours, you really don't know how deep Avenged Sevenfold's repertoire goes. I mean, The Wicked End, MIA, Seize the Day, Dear God, Nightmare, the new album Cosmic Nobody. The guitar solos are insane, and there's not a single Avenged Sevenfold song that has a bad solo on it, so I couldn't really choose one. It's just a matter of like which one was the best. So Synyster Gates, killer guitar player, even better band. Buckethead, everybody's top 25, top 50 guitar players list, who is a guitar player, includes Buckethead on it. And it's because he's fucking kick-ass. I mean, he's an amazing guitar player. You can't go wrong with Buckethead. The first time I heard Jordan, I listened to that on repeat for like, I swear, an hour, and I looked at how is he making that sound, what is he doing? Learned about kill switches and whammy pedals, and then I found out he was taught by Paul Gilbert, and it's quite obvious. I could say so much about Buckethead. I think the epitome would be, he's a combination of Paul Gilbert and Slash. Speak of the devil, Paul Gilbert. Paul Gilbert, master guitar player, but he's always been a bit of a strange one for me, and it was tough for me to put him on the list until I realized, oh, technical difficulties. Fuzz Universe, was it The Castle of the Dragon or The Dragon in the Castle? Scarified, Viking Call, the list goes on, and I can think of every melody from every one of those songs. It's got a good riff, it's a good song, it's well written, it's just technical out the ass. But the thing with me is, he always sounded like a guitar teacher playing guitar, and he is a guitar teacher. Every one of his solos sound like practice techniques. So I'm kind of saying negative things about Paul Gilbert, but to me, I couldn't put him any higher than 16 because something about him seems almost too polished and not rock and roll enough. Number 15 is Zak Wylde. I love Zak Wylde. The pinch harmonics on the low E string, I still can't do it. I don't know what effects he's using. I don't know how much gain he has or what he's doing, but that tone that he has is just, you can't replicate it. Anytime he comes on Spotify or whatever, I don't change it because I know something epic is going to happen. Farewell Ballad, No More Tears, beautiful guitar solo. And honestly, any of his work with Ozzy is just kick-ass. Number 14, Slash, Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, Civil War, Rock of Queen, Mr. Brownstone, Slash. Number 12 and 13 are going to come as a package. I got Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. Number 13 is Steve Vai. I think his playing is incredible. I think he's an amazing guitar player. I think his songs and melodies are memorable. His rhythm is insane. He can talk with the guitar like nobody else can. But to me, Satriani, number 12, is better because Satriani is cooler. And to me, that matters. Steve Vai, I would say Tender Surrender, For the Love of God, anything off of Erotic Nightmares. I mean, Juice is an amazing song. The Animal, the audience is listening. But then Satch, I mean, you've got Always With Me, Always With You, one of the few songs from one of these shreddy instrumental guitar players that you can hear on the radio. Yeah, plus Satch Boogie, cool number 9. I mean, the list goes on for both of them. So to me, they're a package, but Satriani always edges out Vai in the end. Number 11, and I might get chewed out for this one, but Van Halen. A lot of people, they have Van Halen top 5, top 10 at least. He didn't make my top 10, not because he's not amazing. I mean, he made the top 15. I mean, he made the top 11. He innovated the guitar at a time when the guitar needed innovation, and plus he was just epic in the band Van Halen. I mean, what band is named after the lead guitarist who never sings or probably never even talks into the microphone? Eruption, the solo from You Really Got Me, Running with the Devil was one of my favorite solos that he plays too. So we're on to the top 10. And as you can see, a lot of my list has to do with kind of the band that the guitar player is in and the impact that they made on the music as a whole, which, like I said at the start of the video, is kind of how I judged my list. So coming in at number 10, Randy Rhodes. Over the Mountain, Crazy Train, Mr. Crowley. His playing is this mix of 80s guitar epicness mixed with this classical feel. Solos aren't just the icing or the sprinkles on the cake. That's a horrible cliche, but they actually put mass into the song with his guitar work. And the riffs and licks he has when Ozzy is singing is insane. And he went way too early. I can't imagine the kind of music that he still had inside of him. So top 10, Randy Rhodes. Number 9, the astrophysicist with the most emotion, Brian May. I think he's an astrophysicist. Something like that. Every one of his solos are iconic. Being the only guitarist in such an operatic band as Queen, he had to do a lot of legwork, and he does an amazing job, not only with his live performances and just down and dirty rock playing, but his ability to record songs and layer tracks and create melodies and hooks and counterpoint and harmony that only Queen was able to do, and to this day has never been touched. Number 8, Eric Clapton. And at first he was a guitar player I feel like I had to put on this list to put him on the list, and I started to realize, oh shit, Eric Clapton is actually really good. I mean, he's iconic. His songs are amazing. His songs are better than his solos. I'll say it. His songs are better than his solos. Layla, great solo, one of the most fun songs to play on guitar, but the song itself is awesome. While My Guitar Gently Weeps, not many people know, but he was the one that played that solo. Sunshine of Your Love, all of his work with Cream. I mean, he was alive during a very music morphing period of time. Number 7, Toni Iommi, known as the father of heavy metal to so many. I can't say how many riffs that Toni Iommi actually has that when you hear them, you know it's Black Sabbath. Right off the top of my head, Iron Man, NIB, Sweet Leaf, Fairies Wear Boots, Sabracadabra, Paranoid, War Pigs, Fairies Wear Boots, did I already say that? The Wizard. I mean, he was a riff master in his purest form, left-handed SG with Ozzy Osbourne, right when heavy metal music was really starting. Toni Iommi is the father of heavy metal for a reason, and to me, he's got to be this high on the list, and I don't know why he's not this high on other lists that I see. Number 6, James Hetfield of Metallica. Metallica. I'm going to say this, Kirk Hammett's not on my list. He's on my honorable mentions list. To me, James Hetfield is the master of downpicking, and that is the least smallest compliment you could ever give him. I mean, his work in Injustice for All, his progressive metal riffs, every riff on Kill 'Em All. I mean, Metallica was the first band that I learned riff for riff for riff, an album's worth of music. Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Injustice for All, Master of Puppets, Black Album, all 5. Took a bit of a hiatus, came back when they did Death Magnetic. I think 72 Hours is extremely underrated, and Metallica has a song for any vibe and any mood that you're in for a reason. He's an amazing songwriter. He proves he can play solos. He does harmonies with Kirk. He did the Nothing Else Matters solo. So I think James Hetfield is an extremely underrated guitar player, even though everybody knows who James Hetfield is, and he's so closely associated with Metallica for a reason. Metallica wouldn't be who they are without Lars, Kirk, Cliff, Jason, Rob, even Dave Mustaine. James to me is the rock that holds it together. You know, he's the center of gravity. So James Hetfield, number 6. Number 5, Yngwie Malmsteen. Did you know that Yngwie Malmsteen had the first ever Fender signature guitar with his name on it? Did you know that Yngwie worked in a lute shop at 16 years old after dropping out of school, saw Jimi Hendrix set a guitar on fire on TV, and decided to move to America and become a rock legend? Did you know Yngwie actually plays with feeling? Listen to his Philharmonic work, or Black Star, or Far Beyond the Sun, and he brought neoclassical music to life. Yeah, people were playing ostinato techniques and like arpeggios and stuff, but Yngwie took that and he applied it to a Fender Strat, who cranked Marshalls. Yngwie to me has been probably the most influential guitar player on my guitar journey in terms of like learning techniques and becoming a better guitar player. Always plays with passion. To this day, people want to emulate Yngwie Malmsteen's playing style, but no matter what, anytime you hear Yngwie, even if it's just 2 bars, you know it's Yngwie. Like, you know that it's Yngwie. Something about his tone, his vibrato, and his touch is phenomenal. So Yngwie Malmsteen, number 5. Number 4 is David Gilmour, and the next 4 guys really have a hard time falling into rank. I'm sure if you asked any of them who the best guitarist was, they would scoff at you for even making a list. I gotta put David Gilmour at number 4 because he was the reason why I stopped shredding on the guitar, and for like the right reasons. It wasn't because of some pretentious blues guy saying there's no feeling. It was because I heard what he was doing with so little and realized there's so much more thought that can go into the simplicity of making a solo or writing music. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near that, but in terms of like music philosophy and songwriting, I mean, listening to Comfortably Numb under a slight psychedelic influence will literally take you on a journey. Echoes and Pompeii, the solo in Another Brick in the Wall, the entire album that he plays on is a piece of work. The Wall, Dark Side of the Moon. I mean, he truly is an epic guitar player, and you can't go wrong, whether it's on a studio album, a live album, whatever it is. David Gilmour is truly a legend of rock. Number 3 is Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin. Like I said, with Metallica, Led Zeppelin. There's not a song that Jimmy Page plays on any record that isn't a good song. And I'm sure you could find one that's not as good, but they're all fucking good. I mean, Jimmy Page is really, really good at writing songs and making pieces of music where the solo is just the climax of the song. I mean, Jimmy Page is the whole package. Song, solo, riff, feel. And although he's not crazy technical, when he plays fast like he means it. And you know he means it when he plays fast. So top 3, Jimmy Page. Stevie Ray Vaughan has probably been the biggest influence on lead guitar playing that I've had. You know, I mean, Scuttlebutton, Lenny, I mean, his covers of all of his Hendrix pieces are just phenomenal. He's the note bend master. His albums went gold and he played sold out stadiums, and he really kept blues rock guitar alive at a time when everybody was doing the whole finger tapping Van Halen type stuff, and he stuck to his roots and he showed people that blues rock, pentatonic blues still has meaning and still can be phenomenally technical. His speed and ferocity when he plays his licks it's unmatched. It's unmatched. Like the way he plays 3 notes over and over again and bends them, you can really feel the essence of anger and frustration and love and happiness coming out of him through his guitar, the whole package. Number 1, Jimi Hendrix, Electric Church Music. I feel like I could make an entire video about Jimi Hendrix, and I think a million people have, but he's everybody's number 1 guitar player for a reason. And no matter what list you look at, as shitty as they may be and as unthought out as they seem to be, Jimi Hendrix is almost always top 5, top 3, top 2, top 1, almost every single time, and for a reason, and it's deserved. His influence on music and the counterculture revolution when he was alive, for the short amount of time that he had a music career, it changed the music scene. I mean, he innovated the guitar probably more than anybody else had before him, and he led the way to show people that the guitar can be used, you know, not only as like a rhythm, little guitar solo lead part, but as this hybrid instrument that filled up the music. I mean, his experimentation with multi-tracking and layering and sound effects and panning, and his just everything about Hendrix was just rock and roll. I mean, he was the embodiment of rock and roll and rock music, being a rebel, speaking about who you are and being yourself and doing what you want to do. And he did it, and he did it with a guitar, and he did it with his voice and with his music, and a 3-man band too. I mean, there's not much that can be said. You just gotta listen to Hendrix. I mean, a whole album, the whole way through. Put on some headphones. Don't listen to him when you're at the office. Listen to him. He's telling you something, and everything is intentional, even though it might have been by accident. He was so in the moment of the music that when he played it, anything that he did was intentional to happen, but he never thought about it in this like technical way. But when you go back and analyze his music with jazz eyes, you realize how complex his playing really was, and his structures and his chords. And he could sing to you on the guitar, or he could destroy you with the guitar. Hendrix is the man, and he is number 1. I hope this list made sense. Like I said, it was subjective. It wasn't, you know, who is the most technical or who had the most hit songs. It was just me one day sat down, made a list of different guitar players and picked and chose from it. And I have a list of 50 honorable mentions that I would have liked to include in the video, but I just couldn't find a spot for them in the top 25, analyzing them against what I actually like. I don't know if that makes sense. Here are my honorable mentions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe. I'm going to have more stuff like this if you want. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I got right and what I got wrong. Thank you for watching.